everyone. My name is Abby Rappaport. I'm the publisher and co-founder of Stranger's Guide. We're an award-winning publication that commissions stories from local writers and photographers to build authentic portraits of places, from Scandinavia and Tehran to Colombia and Lagos. Please learn more about what we do at strangersguide.com. But today, I'm very excited to introduce our panel. Vicki Dobbs Beck has more than 30 years of broadband management experience in the entertainment industry, and Variety named her a digital innovator to watch in 2020. Currently, Vicki is VP at Immersive Content Innovation and has overall responsibility for ILMxLAB, the award-winning division launched by Lucasfilm in 2015 to pioneer the field of immersive storytelling. Using technologies like virtual and augmented reality, ILMxLAB aspires to create connected experiences that transform places, spaces, and our daily lives as we transition from storytelling to story living. Val Vacante is the Director of Strategy and Product Innovation for Global Experiences at Merkle, a Dentsu company. She uncovers cultural trends, next-generation product innovations, and design strategies impacting the way people connect and experience the physical and digital world. Val co-created Shop Next, Retail Innovations Bringing Customers Joy, a patent-pending app-free contactless experiences technology named one of the top tools shaping the future of retail by Adweek. She's also the creator of Next Intelligence, a series of solutions focused on rapidly advancing technology, innovation, and brand experiences. Please join me in welcoming both of them to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out. So I'm Val Vacante. Abby did a great job with our introductions.
She did.
And there we are. Vicki and I on screen there. Please, we'd love to connect with everyone after the session. So today's session, we're going to talk about being a creative catalyst and really what it takes to innovate. And our first chapter here is all about beyond boundaries. What does it take to innovate in an organization? What does it mean to be an intrapreneur in a big organization and kind of breaking down walls, breaking down barriers, and being part of the Rebel Alliance, I guess, right, Vicki?
Sometimes it feels like that.
And then really the focus on that resilience and creativity. So we're going to jump in here, and Vicki and I are going to kind of tag team on this section, but we really wanted to share with you guys these sort of core pillars, these shared pillars that we have as innovators. So kind of going along the top there, when we think about alignment, it's really important to get, the overall company mission, vision, goals, and all those key stakeholders, really aligned on the same page. We think about diverse perspectives. Now more than ever, it's so important to include diverse perspectives. Everything from recruiting to team design. So being really thoughtful in terms of how teams are designed. Looking at different places for recruiting. Not everybody needs a sophisticated degree. Some people are self-taught. There's loads of tools out there, and a lot of gritty, solid experts out there. The other thing we want to talk about is sort of the importance of planning, funding, and measures of success. So one of the things when it comes to innovation, I guess probably the biggest way companies set up their innovation teams for failure are holding them accountable to those same KPIs across the organization. So it's really important when you think about measures of success, that it is different things like, hey, what did we learn? Like, we're in the business of learning, right? And then the other thing, when we talk about it, it's really about the importance of creativity, culture, curiosity. Like, you have to be curious. You have to turn over every rock when you're in the business of innovation. And then also exploration. So you can see Chewy and Hans in the middle there, and really exploring, creating test and learn opportunities, and exploring new partnerships, new technologies, artists, all of these things, and kind of mix and merging them together. And then being an intrapreneur. So inside of an organization, treating that innovation lab or hub as a business of its own, and growing it. And then when we think about timing, I think if you're an innovator, timing is everything. It's either your friend or foe. If you get the timing right, you can soar and sail. Sometimes you have the great idea, but the timing's not always right. So really important there. And then resilience. So Vicki and I, we were backstage and we were talking about like the importance of, every time you get knocked down, get back up and just do it. And I said, I wore my Nikes today because we're just doing it when it comes to innovation. And then communication, right? So there's gonna be loads of failures. As I mentioned, you'll get knocked down a bunch, but really communicating those learnings is key. And I know Vicki has some really great insights on all of these key pillars, so share with us.
Well, I'm curious actually, how many of you would consider yourselves intrapreneurs? So working inside a large company and trying to do startups. How about entrepreneurs, your own outside startups, okay?
Wow.
And how about people that are just trying to push a creative vision? Okay. It's interesting because all of the things that Val said are very, very relevant. But the timing one just struck me now because I was thinking about the fact that literally 2022 is my 30th year with Lucasfilm. And I've had two really defining career moments over that 30-year span. But the first one was actually in the early 90s. And I got sort of pulled into, because I'm sort of an innovator at heart, I got actually moved around the company to drive various agendas. And at the time, there was a group called Lucasfilm Learning that was doing pioneering work in interdisciplinary multimedia. And what we were working at is at the intersection of high fidelity media, interactivity, storytelling, and then obviously in service of education in this particular case. So at that time, we were doing it with a computer-driven laser disc player. Most of you probably don't even know what that is. It was pre-CD-ROM. But what was really interesting about it is we did a proof of concept that was called Paul Parkranger and the Mystery of the Disappearing Ducks. And we did it in partnership with the Audubon Society and Apple. And I've been really struck as I've been working in VR about how we were probably literally about 2 to 3 decades ahead of our time. Because the way this experience was set up was really actually perfect for VR. It was like you're in a world and you're experiencing a mystery, in this case, the case of the disappearing ducks. So timing is everything. I learned a lot from that experience, but to be perfectly honest, we ended up having to shut it down because we just couldn't make it work from a business perspective. I even tried setting it up as a nonprofit, but it was at the same time that George was establishing the educational foundation, so it didn't make sense to have a duplicate activity like that. Another thing, this idea of alignment and, of course, what Val was saying, measures of success. For us, alignment means a lot of different things. We founded ILMxLAB in 2015, so about 7 years ago. And we were, trying to pioneer an immersive storytelling using, VR, AR, et cetera. These were very unproven markets. In fact, we were, literally developing in advance of any commercial consumer release. And to do that successfully within a large company like Disney, we had to do it in a way that really minimized the risk. And the way we did that was we went out in search of partners where we had aligned goals. And that's how we, essentially went into partnership with Oculus, because at the time they were preparing to launch the Quest, the initial Quest. And so they were excited about having a large IP like Star Wars to help drive hardware sales, and we were excited because it was a brand new platform and device that was tetherless, which offered us, many, many opportunities, including working with a lightsaber. But that aligned goals, we had different goals, but they were aligned. And that was very important, and that was actually foundational to our extended partnership with Oculus, now Meta. And then the one other thing I really wanted to underscore is what Val was talking about diverse perspectives. And she said it, and I'll say it again. Now more than ever, we need to be incredibly conscious about getting diverse voices in all aspects of what we do, from the creative process to the development process to the distribution, marketing, et cetera. And we've worked really, really hard to try to be involved in various kinds of initiatives that help us broaden that audience. So those are kind of my highlights for, for intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship, really.
Great. So in our second chapter here, you guys, we're really going to talk about pioneering the future, and these real world examples and lessons learned. So yeah, this should be fun, you guys. The first one I'll actually take you through. This is Next Intelligence. It's actually at Merkle, a Dentsu company. One of the things we have is Next Intelligence. And it's basically 12 different solutions that we work with companies, everything from new technologies, innovation, scouting and testing, to optimizing brand experiences. This first one I'm going to share with you. I picked two of my most favorite projects to share with you guys today. This first one, it's Next Innovation Scouting, and I'm just going to jump into the video here.
Hi, I am Val Vacante, Director of Strategy and Product Innovation at Merkle, a Dentsu company, and I am joined here today with Jared Wade with Hasbro. Jared, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Val. Well, I'm the Senior Vice President of Design Innovation and Inventor Relations here at Hasbro. I'm glad to be here with you.
Both of us work in innovation roles, and there's always new platforms, new startups, new brands, and really what we're here today to talk about is accelerating innovation. Tell us a little bit about some of the innovation opportunities and challenges, that you face every day.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is how many opportunities are out there. The pace of innovation is so fast these days. So many new emerging technologies. Our role is really to find those ones that are most right for bringing to the consumers, so that we're accelerating, the ones that are ready to go and ready to be accepted.
Obviously, keeping up is always tough. So tell us a little bit about how you guys bring that outside-in perspective into the organization.
There's such a great inventor community around the globe that we work with, and partners such as yourselves who are able to bring us in contact with those new startups or new technologies that we may not be seeing, new adjacent industries, and making sure that we're open to all of those experiences to find the unexpected.
Over the years, we've done some phenomenal work in the innovation scouting space. And probably one of my most favorite assignments was doing innovation scouting in Brazil, teaming up with Hasbro UK, Hasbro USA, Hasbro Brazil. It was great because there weren't many constraints. It wasn't, hey, who are the new toy, gaming, or entertainment companies in Brazil that we need to know about? It was, hey, what technologies, who are the people or potential partners that'll help accelerate our overall portfolio? We actually ended up distilling down over 500 plus companies, startups, accelerators, down, and then actually get boots on the ground in Brazil, meeting those companies, and eventually designing pilots together.
So that's a great example of how we can reach out and see things that we wouldn't normally be looking for, but then create these great opportunities, especially when it comes to different industries, different partners that we wouldn't have known about otherwise. That's where real magic happens, in those unexpected partnerships and uncovering possibilities that two groups independently might not have thought of, but together we can create something really special.
Jared, thanks so much for sharing your perspective, and thanks so much for being a great partner over the years.
Oh, thanks to you too, Val, and thanks for being a great partner.
Oh, thanks. So now Vicki is going to share one of her experiences with us. Here you go.
So I think that's for Darth Vader up there, hopefully. I wanted to talk a little bit about the journey that we went through with on Vader Immortal. So Vader Immortal was the first VR project that we did for the home. It was developed for the Oculus Rift and for the Oculus Quest. And I think everybody knew at the time that the early adopters of VR were likely to be gamers. But our vision was really about interactive narrative. And we had done some experimentation, and that was one of the things that Val talked about, the importance of experimentation, and I can't underscore that enough. I also really applaud Oculus for taking that leap of faith with us and believing that there was something powerful in creating a three-part interactive story series. But one of the things was that we had to understand what was special about VR. And actually, I do this even now. Whenever I do a VR experience, I say, why was it done in VR? Could it have been done any other way? Could it have been done as a short film, for example? And if the answer is it had to be in VR, then I think there's really something there, and it's speaking to the strengths of the individual platform. So one of the things that we did is we started down a path where we thought we wanted to be observers, and the story was essentially unfolding around us. And we had this sort of aha moment where we were like, well, that's not leaning into the strengths of VR at all. VR has the ability for you to be at the center of the experience. It was an interactive experience after all. So we wanted it to be about your experience, but we had to confirm for ourselves that you could really connect with a character in a meaningful way in VR. So we did an initial test, and for any of you that have done Vader Immortal, it actually exists in the final product in almost the same form. So you're in a cell, and the door opens, and Darth Vader walks toward you, and it's sort of the heavy breathing and the footfalls and so forth. And he comes up and he looks you directly in the eye, which is something we can do in VR. And he delivered a line of dialogue. And honestly, it was so impactful that almost no one heard the dialogue. They were just struggling to process the fact that they were now face to face with Darth Vader. But it proved for us that power of connection. And I would say the two strengths of VR are the power of presence, so the power of being there, being in a world, and the power of connection. So I wanted to share the trailer from episode 3, which was my personal favorite. It's really the culmination of your journey. You see the places that you've been over the course of these 3 different episodes, and all the characters that you've met, whether they're light and dark. But at the end of the day, this was really your adventure.
Did you think you could become my apprentice? You were a means to an end. But now you have outlived your usefulness.
Only you can face Vader.
We need an army for that.
You have an army.
Time for one final lesson.
was great, right? You guys ready to get in the game? Into the story, excuse me. Yeah, you're right, Vicki. That is really powerful when Darth Vader comes up to you. If you guys haven't experienced, you have to try it. Cool. So the next one I'm going to share with you guys in our Next Intelligence platform is Product Playground, and this is really where we get immersed in how people are living and how they're playing and interacting with different products, and a little behind the scenes of what's happening at Stuntworks at Mattel. So I'll just play the video here.
Hi, I am Val Vacante, the Director of Strategy and Product Innovation at Merkle, a Dentsu company, and today we're going to go behind the scenes of Mattel Stuntworks with Gary Cody. Gary, tell us a little about yourself and what you're working on.
Hello, Val. Hello, everybody at South by. We are an internal in-house incubator team, and we are tasked with zigging when other teams internally are zagging, right? So we've got diecast teams, track sets, play sets, all these teams that do that part of the business day in, day out. We are looking for opportunities for the future of play, the future of vehicle play. At Hot Wheels, our mantra is actually challenge accepted. That is something you'll hear on a daily basis.
So one of my favorite projects that we probably worked on was the Product Playground. And that's where I was sort of boots on the ground, going into retail locations, also, shopping for the product, bringing the product in homes with kids and families, playing, then sketching out ideas on how the product might be better, and then really distilling that information out and bringing it to the design and innovation team to help sort of inspire and ignite other ideas.
We try and strike a balance between internal and external, because internal at Mattel, there's no question we have the best in class talent in our industry, working with folks like yourself, other industry experts, people in our industry, in adjacent industries. That's the benefit also of going externally, is that you can really get fresh-eyed approach, fresh-eyed feedback, and a lot of that feedback is unfiltered, and there's no bias towards like, oh, well, can you produce it like this, and does it fit this requirement? Does it fit this shelf space? There's none of that, so it's great.
So let's talk about the future now. What does the future of play look like?
At Stuntworks, we believe as the virtual world around us becomes more immersive, that it will open up opportunities for play. Blockchain, Web3, crypto, decentralized kind of anything, peer-to-peer, owning my own content, all of that is really super, super fascinating.
What's been interesting is exactly where Mattel has sort of put their toe in the water and kind of jumping in some areas, right?
Mattel launched Mattel Creations with the Cybertruck as the first item, the first toy into this new space where we're going even closer to consumers and delivering consumers play experiences at different price points and things that maybe don't fit the conventional model.
It's exciting to see how you guys are experimenting with these different play experiences.
Yeah, we are definitely taking swings, and we're not afraid to swing and miss, but it is critical to know why you missed and talk about it and to be okay with it and to try and get up to the plate and swing again. That's what we're here to do.
You have to. If you're working in innovation, you've got like a stack of failures, but those wins are home runs, right?
Yeah, we hope so.
Challenge accepted.
Here you go, challenge accepted. Thank you all, and have a great South by. Until next time.
Now we're going to jump into a very cool experience with porgs.
So another area that we were experimenting with is AR. And we all know that VR allows us to transport you to another world, but AR allows us to see our world differently. And we were very interested in this idea of virtual companions. And what would it be like if you had characters that lived in our world? So as I was saying before, experimentation is actually key. And it's important to understand, what storytelling looks like with these new technologies. So this was, as I said, an experiment that we did with ILMxLAB. And I'm just going to play the video, but it helps to see what the goals of our project were.
The story of Project Porg is that Chewbacca has left a device along with a Porg, and C-3PO has sent a message that explains how you can take care of it.
Oh my god.
Project Porg is an aspirational experiment, and it's important because we can spark people's imagination about what's going to be possible in the world of mixed reality.
Chewbacca suggests you try offering the Porg a treat.
Mixed reality places you at the center, and an experience can start in the home, continue throughout the journey, and culminate in this transformative destination.
So one of the really interesting outcomes of this, again, this was specifically produced as an experiment. It wasn't sold, but it was released to the developer community in ILMxLAB. And the way it was designed was in like roughly 10-minute segments. So there were I think there were 7 10-minute segments. And right before we were going to release it, I had to do all of the segments in succession. So I was like in the glasses for over an hour with the Porgs. And when I took the headset off, I was actually quite surprised because in VR, anybody that's done VR knows that when you pull the headset off and you go from being in another world into our world again, it's actually quite abrupt. But I wasn't expecting that same feeling when I pulled off AR glasses because I was still in my world. But the Porgs were gone. And I actually had this incredible sense of loss. And I realized that over the course of, an hour or so, I had become really quite attached to the Porgs, and they were much like pets. So it underscored for me really the power of AR, and when you have characters that are acting in meaningful ways and in character, it can be really powerful. One thing that I wanted to mention also is that when we did present this at Magic Leap conference, we attached the experience to smart devices. So the Porgs would interact with smart devices like speakers, television, lights, etc. And the beauty of it is they interacted in character. So they did things like, for example, they really liked music, and if you turn the speakers off, they'll turn them back on. And not only will they turn them back on, they'll turn it to Star Wars. And so there was just you started to understand the power of virtual companions that are with their own sense of personality.
I love that story. I think we all need Porgs in our life, Vicki. Okay, so what does the future hold? And we shared a little bit of perspective on our specific projects, but now we're going to talk about the future of connected experiences overall. And here are some really great numbers. So any of you all working in technology or emerging tech or anything, these are really great numbers. Kind of starting at the top here, we're seeing a 2,100% increase in NFTs. That was just in Q1 alone this year. The metaverse itself, there's a 509% increase. I think we've all heard the word metaverse, I don't know how many times, right, during South by alone. So the numbers are increasing there. And I believe according to Bloomberg, it's due to be an $800 billion industry by 2024, I believe. And then on top of that, we talked about gaming a little bit, touched on that. So we're seeing that 63% of gamers would spend more money on a virtual good, whether it be a skin or a cosmetic of some sort, if it had real world value. So a really big opportunity there, the importance of physical and digital connection. And then, we're seeing the location-based entertainment industry. And Vicki, you guys have done some work with the Void specifically, right? And that, although we got hit hard with COVID, places are starting to open up, and we're starting to see more of those location-based experiences as people go back into the world. The AR market, so Vicki touched on AR, and we're seeing that as a $291 billion industry by 2025. So this is in 3 years, you guys. And then in terms of VR gaming itself, we're seeing that as a $92 billion industry. So we've been sort of playing in these spaces, and the good news is when we talk about timing, we may have some of it right, Vicki.
Finally.
Right, finally,
30 years.
Cool, so now I'll turn it to you.
So in looking ahead at the future, some of the themes that I think about often is, first of all, that our relationship with reality is fundamentally changing. That as we are experiencing things in VR, AR, and other digital modes, we're actually creating memories that become a part of who we are, even though they're not technically real. And that's pretty profound and something that's worth thinking about. Another is that expectations of our audience are becoming much more sophisticated. They're expecting connection, persistence, community, and an ability to personalize the experience for themselves. And then finally, boundaries of all kinds are disappearing. And in this particular case, I wanted to show two pictures. This is in relation to a project that we released part 2 on in September of 2021. It was called Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. And what that VR experience sought to do was to extend the world of Blackspire Outpost, which is in the parks. So we wanted to not duplicate what Walt Disney Imagineering had done so beautifully, but actually extend it. And so in this case, on the right is actually Blackspire Outpost at Disneyland, and on the left, it's a view of Blackspire Outpost from the VR experience, which the hub is Cecil Slack's Cantina. And for those of you that have been to Blackspire Outpost, there's Oga's Cantina that's down in the main area, and Cecil Slack's is kind of the dive bar up on the ridge. But we allowed guests to go out beyond the boundary of Blackspire Outpost. So Blackspire Outpost is on the planet Batuu, and we invited people to have experiences that they couldn't have in the quote-unquote real world, whether it's because of laws of physics or cost or whatever. But it was really quite an extraordinary extension, and it was an example of connected storytelling. The thing we, of course, hadn't anticipated was the pandemic. So we had imagined that many people would first experience Blackspire Outpost in the theme parks and then, perhaps be inspired to participate in the VR experience. But what happened, of course, was many people experienced the VR Blackspire Outpost first. The other thing is that, as I was saying, we really did not want to duplicate what had been done, but to have it complement. So there's a place in the VR experience, Mubo, which is a character that you'll see at Blackspire Outpost. He's like a droid repair person. And his workshop, if you're at the theme park, there's a door that goes to his workshop, the back of his workshop, but you can't go in there. In our experience, you actually go into Mubo's workshop. So it's like it lives in an adjacent space, one of which is real in the physical world and one of which is in the virtual world. So that's been a really interesting sort of opportunity for us, and one I hope that we continue to build on. So now I'd like to play the trailer from that particular experience, and it had quite a bit of dimension to it, in contrast to Vader Immortal, whose primary intention really was interactive episodic narrative. This was a bit more gamey. It had missions, it had legends, and our goal was to just have a diversity of really rich experiences. And I think you'll get a sense of the breadth from this trailer.
Kid, it's you! All right, here's the deal. Doc Ondar's the outpost's relic wheeler dealer. He's looking for someone to collect something for him. It's real dangerous.
The goal is to secure the relic, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes isn't me going after the relic. We're not partners, but I'm gonna need your help.
I think there are a few new items on the shelves that might catch your eye.
You'll find I can be a useful ally, or quite a thorn in your side.
Never too old to be a student, that's what I always say. Remember, Addie?
This is where you'll take some of your first steps of the Force. Remember, a Jedi defends.
I remember.
Challenges push us, make us grow.
Let's do some more obstacles then.
IG-88, a Class 4 assassin droid.
Bounty accepted. Initiating tactical protocol.
It'll be a fight the entire way up.
I can assure you, droids are superior bounty hunters.
Batu is lawless. To control that chaos, what do we call that? Order!
Surely we can count on you now.
An excellent choice.
Hostile! Go! Go!
Blast a couple for me.
This little team you've assembled, the allies who helped you today, you'll see our truth. The First Order is forever!
I love that example, Vicki, just of connected storytelling, like you were saying, in the physical world with the park, and then obviously the experience in VR. What I'm excited about too, talking about the future, Disney has so many rich properties, Star Wars alone, and just what I would love to see is, what is that experience when I go to the park? Does it know what's happened with my play experience in VR? Or what is that content or that story I saw in Disney Plus? And I feel like if anybody could do it, it's probably Disney, and we're probably not that far away, but just with the foundational work that you guys have done here. And you're doing that by being an entrepreneur, and driving those changes internally. So I love that. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so this one now, we were just on Batu. Now we're going to go to the moon. So this example I'm going to show you guys today, this is a partnership we've been working on with Head Office Space at Merkle. And Head Office Space is really creating the future of work in the metaverse. And it's all about creating connection and purposeful collaboration. So I'm going to walk you guys through this video. And what this is, it's actually our virtual showroom that we are currently using to help educate our teams internally on our new product innovations that we launched at CES. And we're also using the platform to be a test bed, everything from working with our clients, whether it be messaging testing, whether it be product ideas, different ideations, as well as, again, just getting quick test and learns without making that big investment. So let's see here. So here I am. This is the gateway in head office. And so I'm cruising over. This is my virtual showroom we're being teleported to at the moment. And here, that is on the side, that's Scan and Know. That's one of our, we call it our Shop Next suite of products, Retail Innovations, Bringing Customers Joy. And Scan and Know is basically a way to extend a retailer's existing website. It integrates into their existing website, customer profiles, and loyalty programs. And basically, if you go into a store and if they've been out of an item, you can scan it. It'll pull up straight away, and you can have it shipped to your door or add it to your wish list. So something super simple like that, we got out of a customer need. And so my avatar here is cruising on over, and on this wall here, we actually use that as for learning and development, for different training, again, doing messaging testing. We're actually going to be incorporating different scanning abilities. So as we're going through this experience, you can just use your mobile device and have a scan and play. My avatar there is actually going to be cruising on over to our other product here called Unbox It. And we did some quick experimentation there. So this is an item you might receive in the post with your package with a QR code. And in this case, you could actually scan that QR code and it goes into our development environment where we have no-code technology that we can drag and drop different messaging experiences and that sort of thing. And our teams really enjoyed it because it's not just a passenger experience, but they can engage with it. And then also a lot of the comments we've heard from our team is like, I don't feel like I'm doing any work. Like, this feels like fun. So it has been a lot of fun. And again, we wanted to experiment with it in our virtual showroom. And when it comes to the future of work, I think we're going to see more of these experiences that enable teams to just quickly drag and drop, not heavy code experiences. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going back into the into the gateway there. So I think as we work, when we talk about the future, we're going to see more of these collaborative experiences. And I think as AI progresses as well, it's going to be even more critical to to be creative, to experiment, because I think the AI is going to take care of more of the process for us. So let's see here.
So another aspect of the idea of boundaries disappearing is one of the boundaries that's disappearing is the boundary between our stories and adventures and our bodies. This is a company called Helium. It was a team that I met a few years ago. They call themselves an empathy agency, and they're really using biometric data to drive experiences. And so they inspired us to do a test. And if you've done Vader Immortal, you know that early in that scene, there's this moment where you have to unlock what's called the Korvax cube. And in VR, you do it with the controller. But what if you were able to lower your heart rate as measured by a smartwatch to a meditative state, you could then use the force to unlock the Korvax cube. It's interesting sort of thinking like that about really using our bodies to engage with our experiences in new and different ways. And AR also allows us to remove boundaries of another kind. So this was another part of our strategic collaboration with ILMxLAB, and we created an augmented reality location-based experience in a large ballroom. So you can see a picture of the ballroom here, and you can see that there's some physical props in the mid-ground. But when I play this, which is essentially a recreation of the scene from Hoth, watch how we opened up the physical world at the back of the ballroom. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, and it's really an appeal to all of you, is to look for ways to apply your talents for the greater good. And we did a project in December of 2021, but it sort of started in May of 2021. I had just learned about NFTs. I was arguably late to the party, but nonetheless, I was quite intrigued by the idea. And I was talking to an artist friend of mine, Drew Katauka, who is a globally renowned artist, activist, and technologist. And I was talking to her about NFTs and what the opportunities were, what the challenges were, et cetera. And we decided to try to do an NFT for good, to do a co-collaboration where the ILMxLAB team literally brought to life her vision. And we would mint an NFT, so it was a movie file. We would mint an NFT, and then 100% of the proceeds would go to two deserving nonprofits. In this case, it was the King Center and Stop AAPI Hate. This particular article highlighted the fact that this was essentially 5 organizations: Drew Katauka Studios, ILMxLAB, the King Center, Stop AAPI Hate, and Philips, which was the actual auction platform, all of which were led by women. And that was somewhat unusual in a still pretty male-dominated space. But one other learning about this, and then I'll talk about the NFT in particular, is we tried traditional means of press, reaching out to all the press that we typically reach out to when we launch a title and so forth. And this was one of the very few features that actually got placed. And I realized in retrospect, and we talked quite a bit about this after the fact, is it was just too new for traditional press. I think that they didn't feel comfortable with fully understanding what it was that we were doing and what the ramifications of what we were doing and so forth. So what actually turned out to be true is community was everything. And we both launched and wrapped the auction on Clubhouse, where there was quite a community, and I believe that's where many of the actual bidders came from. So this next is the trailer for the NFT piece. It was, Drew's vision was inspired by an ancient Egyptian legend, which was about the weighing of the heart against a feather to determine if we're worthy to move beyond this life to the next. So in the end, as I said, we launched and wrapped the auction on Clubhouse, but we raised more than $250,000, which 100% of which went to these two organizations. And I think more important even than the money that flowed to the organizations, which was obviously important, but is our hope that we can inspire others to undertake similar kinds of initiatives for social impact and good.
Yeah.
And the one last thing I just wanted to say, and we sort of have said this throughout the comments, is that pioneer requires taking risks, and innovating demands courage. you have to be willing to take leaps of faith. And if you're the faint of heart, entrepreneurship, pioneering, pushing the state of the art is not for you. But I suspect everyone who is here is actually bold and inventive and inspired. And I really hope that that you leave here and are excited about the future that you can create.
Could not agree more. And we just really want to encourage everybody here, no matter how big or small, if there's something you're thinking about trying, whether it is a new technology, whether it's art, no matter what it is, just go out there and try. You don't have to go big. You can go small, build, learn, but just do it, just do it. And, with that being said, jump into your X-Wing, go on your journey, and also please stay connected with us. We'd love to connect with everybody here, and if there's anything we can do to help, reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.